Balloon Buns, Callan here, welcome back to my channel. Last week we talked about the inspirations for Mirage, and this week we'll be looking at Fairy Floss. We'll start with the obvious inspiration, her hair. Now, as I mentioned in her updated lore video, Fairy was originally intended to be a Sona rather than a character, hence why her hair matches my YouTube Sona's hair. But she's since developed and I decided to keep it just as a nod to what she originally was. Also, her name is Fairy Floss, which is another name for cotton candy. I had to keep it that colors for obvious reasons, though this was not the original hair color she had in canon. It was another color first. Now, I know what you're all probably thinking looking at her. A lot of people are expecting me to say that her arms and midsection stretching the way they do is inspired by Fizzarelli. However, you'd only be half right on that. The full inspiration actually came from my other character, Slink. Slink was a design that I bought back in 2020, and he was designed way back in 2018 by his original designer. Back then, he was a Nightmarin OC for the media Nights into Dreams. Since then, he's developed into something else for another story entirely of mine. But her stretching and running around the way she does is actually inspired by my silly giant mechanical cat character. I love robotic, brightly colored characters. Can you tell? Her body being painted the way it was, and the puffballs were actually inspired by a few different clown outfits that popped up on Google when I was researching vintage mime outfits. As for the sheer pants she has, that was put on her for two reasons. One, to match her hair, and two, to give her some form of actual clothing other than just her gloves. Otherwise, she was essentially gonna be naked, and I wanted something fun and flowy on her that wouldn't restrict her movements. Last but absolutely not least, the star on her forehead. This is a reference to the old movie The Last Unicorn. When the unicorn is turned against her will into the Lady Amalthea, she has a pink star marking on her forehead where her horn used to be. Fairy's yellow star marking is in the exact same place, and I used that in her design because I wanted some other form of face paint on her. Also, I love that movie. My grandma played it a lot when I was little. In the movie, Lady Amalthea is suddenly thrown into having human emotions when she never did as a unicorn, and she has to learn how to deal with them in this new body. In a sense, Fairy Floss is doing the same thing. She develops her own emotions that she was never supposed to have, and she's coming into her own while trying to break out of the expectations that were put on her. It was really fun throwing together her physical design, and I can't wait for you guys to see more of her. I'll see you all in the next mess. Later, Gators!